Most heroes are known for defeating monsters, but only one walked willingly into the world where monsters are born. His name was Heracles, the greatest of mortals, and he had survived every impossible task thrown at him. The Hydra, the Nemean lion, the Stymphalian birds all fell before his might. But his final labor was different. This wasn't a hunt. It wasn't a battle. It was a descent. His cowardly king, Eurystheus, gave the command, "Bring me Cerberus, alive." Cerberus, the three-headed hound of Hades, the beast that tears souls from bodies and guards the gates of the dead. Even the gods refused to face this creature. No mortal had ever stood before it and lived. And to even reach it, Heracles had to enter the one place no living soul should ever walk, the underworld itself. Eurystheus believed this labor would finally destroy Heracles, not because Cerberus was unbeatable, but because the underworld consumes the living. Its very shadows tear you apart from the inside. Priests warned him, "You won't fight shadows. The shadows will fight you." But Heracles was unfazed. He prepared with no weapons and no armor. He carried only the lion skin on his back and a strength forged in unimaginable pain. At Tenaran, a cave gaped open like a black mouth, inhaling cold mist. This was the entrance to Hades. There were no cheering crowds, no promise of triumph. Only darkness and a distant, bone-chilling growl vibrating through the stone. Heracles gripped his club, then remembered the rules. He wasn't allowed to use it. He dropped it. The sound echoed like a funeral bell. Then he stepped into the abyss, and the world of the living sealed shut behind him. The descent was suffocating. The air grew thick, and the stone walls seemed to pulse like a living throat. Shadows clung to him, whispering regrets he had never dared to voice. The souls of the dead drifted past him like smoke. Some begged for his help, some tried to touch him, and some just screamed in eternal agony. Still, he walked on. At the River Styx, skeletal hands reached up from the black water, trying to pull him under. The ferryman, Charon, slid his boat from the fog. "You breathe," the ancient ferryman hissed. "No living man crosses." Heracles simply placed a coin on the boat's edge, a coin he'd held in his own mouth as if he were already dead. Charon paused, then accepted him. As they crossed, voices rose from the river, whispering his failures, his sins, his deepest fears. The underworld was trying to break his mind before the monster ever reached him. On the far shore, obsidian pillars rose like the ribs of a colossal, dead beast. And beyond them, a sound grew louder. 3 distinct voices growling in perfect, hungry unison. Cerberus had sensed him. Heracles walked toward the palace of Hades. Furies shrieked and circled overhead. But Hades himself watched silently from his throne, darkness coiling at his feet like a pet. "You seek my hound," the god of the dead said. "You may take him, if you can subdue him with your bare hands." Heracles nodded. The great gates trembled and swung open. Cerberus emerged, a nightmare made flesh. 3 heads snarled as one. One dripped venom, another exhaled fire, and the third growled low enough to shake Heracles' bones. Its mane writhed with venomous serpents, and its claws carved trenches into the stone floor. It charged. Heracles dodged as massive jaws snapped shut where his head had been just a moment before, shattering a stone pillar. The second head lunged, and he blocked it with the invulnerable lionskin. But the third head struck with deadly precision, aiming for his throat. Heracles caught it mid-lunge, his grip so powerful that bone ground against bone. The underworld itself trembled. They crashed to the ground, a storm of claws, fangs, and fire. Cerberus fought like 3 monsters at once. Venom burned Heracles' skin. Flames licked at his face. Claws tore bloody lines across his chest. But he refused to let go. He wrapped his arms around the monster's 3 necks, his muscles straining, veins bulging, shades fled, furies shrieked. Even Hades leaned forward on his throne. With a final, defiant roar, Heracles heaved. The 3 heads slammed into the ground. Cerberus writhed, snarled, and thrashed. And then it weakened. Heracles tightened his grip, forcing the beast into submission. Finally, Cerberus collapsed, defeated but alive. The impossible had happened. A mortal man had subdued the guardian of the dead. Hades rose. "You have done what no one has done. Take him and return him." Chains of shadow formed around Cerberus, guiding the beast. Heracles dragged the hound toward the ascent, back to the world of light. Winds howled and shades pulled at his legs, but still, he climbed. At the surface, sunlight blinded the monster. Cerberus snarled, recoiling from the open sky. People screamed. Soldiers fled. King Eurystheus took one look and hurled himself into a giant storage jar, shaking with terror. Heracles laughed. He returned Cerberus to the underworld, just as he had promised. The gates sealed, and the darkness swallowed the beast once more. He had stared into the abyss, faced death itself, and forced it to kneel. The Hydra died by his blade, the lion by his hands, but the greatest monster lived, because some monsters must. Some battles are meant only to be survived. Heracles walked into darkness with no promise of return, and came back a legend.